Welcome to the Challenges of Change, the podcast where we explore the transformative journey towards self-improvement and personal growth. I'm your host, Laura, a mindset coach in the health and fitness industry, here to guide you through the hurdles that life throws at you. In each episode, we'll delve into practical strategies and insightful discussions to help you manage stress, regulate your emotions, upgrade your mindset, and ultimately reclaim your sense of worth. I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey of change, challenges, and self-discovery. Welcome back to the Challenges of Change. And today we are going to be talking about motivation, but more specifically, the direction of motivation, as in how we think in our thought processes in terms of where they direct us, where they don't direct us, how we're thinking, what creates better outcomes, what doesn't, and how we can shift from our current thought patterns into a more powerful, energetic force, something that is more motivating than maybe what's just worked for us. So if you're someone who thinks a lot about what you don't want, or you find yourself frustrated with having repeating cycles of the things you don't want to experience, or that you can't get yourself to do something different, then this is definitely for you. So I was recently talking to a client and friend. So I want to kind of frame this in a story. And she had a couple different things going on. She didn't really know what she wanted with dating. She didn't really know what she wanted with work, but she knew she didn't like where she was. And she could tell me all the things she didn't like about the dating world, what she's been experiencing, same thing with work, what her frustrations were. And she just kept kind of going on and on about the frustrations. And it made sense. Honestly, everything she was telling me, I was like, yeah, man, I'd be frustrated too. But I paused there for a second. I was like, so, okay, we know what we don't want, but do you know what you do want? And she just paused, like longer than normal conversational pauses, which I don't have a problem with. It means we're thinking. And she looked at me, she goes, I know I don't want this. And I'm like, so you want what you don't want. You know you want what you don't want. And she was like, huh? And I'm like, I know, I'm confused even as I'm saying it. You don't know what you want, but you know you don't want what you have, pretty much. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I think I see what's happening. And she's like, what? And I was like, there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system that it's a very like intentional part of our brain, but it focuses our brain based on the immense amount of data that our brain brings in on what we are focusing on, pretty much. So it's our focus muscle, for lack of better terms. So if we're focusing on not wanting something, we're actually attracting more of it into our conscious awareness because we're focusing on what we don't want. It's kind of like if you ever bought a new car, you never see your car, and then you buy the new car, and all of a sudden you start seeing your new car everywhere. Until you have that experience, it's kind of like, what are you talking about? And then you have the experience, like, oh my God, that's totally what happens. Happened to me too. That's our reticular activating system in action. And it happens every day too. If we don't want someone to do something, or we don't want to have this experience, we don't want to be frustrated by our inactions around exercise, whatever it might be. When we're focusing on what we don't want, we're actually bringing more of it into our lives because our brain is focused on it. And she was like, okay, so how do I stop doing that? I was like, well, the reality is your brain's already kind of doing it instinctively. So you're probably going to keep doing it. But the way you change is by using that awareness as a cue to shift it towards what you do want. And she's like, but I don't know what I want. And I'm like, okay, so let's go about it this way. What do you know for sure you don't want? And she gave me the whole list, both with dating and with her work. I was like, okay, so if you don't want this, what might potentially, maybe, no certainty, but if we had to guess, what maybe might you want to experience differently? And she was like, well, probably something that has a little bit more, presence, someone who's a little bit more present on dates, or someone who can hold space for my processing, who doesn't make me feel like I need to rush through it. I'm like, okay, let's just go with that as a hypothesis. What about work? Same thing. This is what you don't want. What maybe potentially could tell us that we're heading in a new direction that we would like. And she was like, I just want to feel valued. Like when I say something, less people are listening. Like, okay, so how do you feel listened to? And we talked through that. And ultimately, she started to go out and collect data. And ironically, the stuff that had been frustrating her wasn't as prominent. And the stuff that had been potentially maybe the right direction forward, she learned a little bit more about, yes, this is absolutely what I want. And this is kind of what I want, but it's not quite what I thought it was going to be. So let me try and kind of subtly new direction, like a tilted direction, so to speak. So what was happening here is one, her reticular activating system was focusing her on all the things she didn't want. But two, she was blinding herself to what she did want because she felt like she needed to know, and she needed to know with certainty before she invested her time and energy. And I get why we do this, because this is definitely not just a her situation. I see this with plenty of clients, family, friends, pretty much everyone. Pain tends to capture our attention more. So we know what we don't like, we know what we don't want. But this isn't just about what we want and what we don't want, it's about the motivational energy within what we want and what we don't want. When we think about things that we don't want, we are quite literally talking about friction. We want less of this. There's friction when we experience this. And so what we do is we push ourselves away from it. Now, I want you to think about just the idea and the notion of pushing. We talk about pushing through. There's effort in a push, right? Whereas when you know what you're moving towards, what you want, you actually create more of a attraction, a pull energy, so to speak. So if you think about similar to push, when you're being pulled, if someone's pulling you on like in a shopping cart, because I mean, who hasn't been inside a shopping cart? If someone's pulling you towards you for a hug, it is more effortless than a push. And that is what a lot of people don't recognize, is that when we are looking at what we don't want, not only are we increasing the chances of getting it because we're focusing on it, but we are exerting more energy and more friction trying to avoid it versus shifting our energy to what could actually just pull us forward, where there's no friction in a pull. We are just there moving along, and there's an energy pulling us towards something. The challenge for so many of us, well, one being we don't always know what we want, and we very much know what we don't want. But more specifically, if you think about like growing up in the traditional school system, our roadmap was given to us. You take these classes, you study, you do these worksheets, yada, yada, yada. You graduate, then you go to college, then you go to grad school, whatever that path is, then you get a job, you get married, you have kids, the end. But that's not the end. There's still a lot of life. And when it comes to career and relationships, but let's just think about career. We don't think about, well, how do we know when the career isn't the right step? We're not given a worksheet on redirecting our life. We're not given a test to understand when to recognize that we're heading in the wrong direction. But the intuition we carry, the energy, we can feel it. And I know people can get a little woo-woo about energy, and I get that. But think about someone that you're really good friends with who every time you're around them, you lose track of time. That's not just because that's who they are, it's because of who you guys are in the exchange together. Similarly, think of that person who the moment you're around them, you're frustrated. They aren't necessarily doing anything in that moment, but because of previous experiences, you're already experiencing friction. Like we might not like that we're energetic beings, but no matter how much we like or dislike it, we are. So, sorry, that's just kind of how it works. Point being, we make it a lot harder for ourselves to get what we want because we aren't directing our brain. I have a ton of empathy. Literally, listen to what I just said about the school system and how it kind of conditions us. It makes us scared take a step in the wrong direction. And I get it. I don't really want to go in the wrong direction, but sometimes we need to, and there's value in that. And it's uncomfortable, and we still need to do it. Like life isn't about just staying comfortable. It's about being conscious and intentional about what's worth exerting effort for. Okay, you want to be healthier. Why? Are you moving away from something? I don't like how I look. I'm not good enough in how I'm feeling in my body, or people don't take me seriously because I'm not fit. Whatever your narrative is, that's still a away from goal. It's not, I want to be healthy so I can feel confident in myself. That's a towards goal. Similarly, if you're thinking, I don't want my ideas stolen in the meeting, you can't control that. I want to value courage. Okay, that's a towards goal because in the meeting, when your ideas are being stolen, you can act with courage to say, actually, that was my original idea. And if I could go into a little bit more detail as to the depth of how I was thinking and how it could interplay with the system, I think that would make it a lot easier for everyone to see how dynamic it could be. Right. So, all that to say, we don't recognize how our brain is thinking and how it creates these kind of loops of self sabotage when we're thinking about what we don't want, when we're trying to hold ourselves accountable via judgment or fear or insecurity. These are all a negative energy sense of motivation. They will not propel you forward. You have to exert energy just to keep yourself going. It drains you and it doesn't like propel the goal forward. Whereas if you are less attached to the fear and more driven towards the purpose, towards the value, towards what you're going to gain, you actually get a like a super I'm thinking of like Fast and the Furious movies where they hit the button, it's like vroom, and they go really, really fast. Like you get propelled forward. It's hard, and I genuinely do have empathy for it because it's scary and uncertainty is scary, but it's not going anywhere. Like we can't have certainty about the future. We're going to find ourselves in pickles where we don't know what direction we want to go, and we're supposed to. We can navigate it and we can make it easier to navigate, but we have to be willing to look at what's working and what's not working. And more specifically, when we recognize our brain like hyper fixating on what we don't want, pause and use that as a cue to be like, wait, what do I want to bring more of into my day? If I don't want someone stealing my ideas, how do I focus on courage or focus on sharing my ideas in a way that would honor the value I feel towards myself? It seems simple, it seems subtle, and it is in certain ways. But it's also those subtle, simple shifts that make a huge impact in how you experience yourself, how you experience your day. There is quite literally energetic friction that we are creating because of how we're thinking. We all have a million things to do. No one's completing their to-do lists daily, but we're going to enjoy our life and our sense of accomplishment way more when we can shift towards how we want to experience things, what we want more than what we don't want. And I just got to call out one more thing before I give you a practice to kind of engage in for yourselves. Clarifying what you want can be very vulnerable for people. As if saying it out loud or deciding it for yourself means you're not going to get it, or you're going to be rejected, or you're going to be let down. And honestly, that could happen. And maybe it's supposed to happen, which I know is not everyone's favorite way of thinking, and I get it. But I'll say this. My husband and I are currently in the middle of trying to buy a house, And he said, "Do you think I'm being too attached to the house? Like, do you think I'm too excited?" And I smirked because with me, it's never a simple answer. And I was like, "I think that's a personal choice, honey, because you have to decide, would you rather try to mitigate your excitement to give yourself like a sense of I'm theoretically protecting myself from disappointment, or do you want to allow yourself to be excited, knowing you're going to be disappointed either way if you don't get it?" We think we can mitigate the pain by limiting our joy, but that's not really how it works. And the same thing is true with figuring out what we want. We think clarifying what we want means we won't get it. But the neuroscience actually says if you think about it more and you focus on it more, you're actually attracting it to you. And if it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. I know that's not, again, I know that's not everyone's favorite way of thinking about it, but we are not the greatest creators of our lives. We are co-collaborators. And when we understand that, we can see sometimes what we don't get that we wanted are actually the training grounds that we need to develop the skills for what we actually want, which is greater than what we even imagined. So, with that being said, this is what I challenge you to tackle. Notice for yourself how you think, because awareness is always where this stuff starts. Like, do you notice yourself thinking, I don't want this? This person's annoying me. Why do they keep doing this? Are you focusing on the pain points? Are you focusing on the friction? And think about, what would I want instead? Mind you, within your control. We can't control other people. So, what would I want instead? And if you struggle to figure that out, write down all the things you don't want and then do exactly what I did with my friend. If maybe potentially you could want something new in a different direction, what might that be? How would you know you're heading in the right direction? And remember, we know what it feels like to be around someone that's our people. That energy that lights us up, that means we're heading in the right direction. When we're around someone that drags us down, that typically means they're not our people, and that's not the right direction. The same thing is true with pursuits. So it's okay if you don't know what you want all the time. Give yourself space to see that sometimes just by looking at what you don't want and clearing that out opens your brain up to see what you actually do want. But no one can do this for you but you. You have to decide, do you want to continue pushing and forcing and creating this friction, or do you want to simplify your life and make it a little bit easier by being pulled towards what you want, pulled towards what's aligned for you, and pulled towards what you value and how you want to show up in your life? All it takes is a simple moment. Check in, notice, and keep moving. If this resonated with you, please share it with a friend, leave a review, let us know. But as always, I deeply appreciate your presence and you tuning in, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, it's me. I just want to pause you for a brief moment because there's something important that I think you need to know about. So often when I'm in sessions, I hear people talking about how lonely they are, how anxious they are, and we really do need each other. And I've seen through a lot of my corporate work the power of growing and evolving together. So I am super excited to announce that I have launched my community, the Challengers Circle, where you get to come in, become a challenger, connect with other people going on personal growth journeys, understand what the circumstances are like, share your challenges, and see how similar we all are. And there are so many resources in there to help you, from a personal coach to guide you through it, different chat rooms to share experience, different labs where you can literally practice boundary setting, practice saying no, practice regulating your nervous system. Whatever it is that your challenge is, we have created such an in-depth platform that can really, really help you create the change you want to see, because it's not just about the information. It's not just about knowing. It's about the ability to apply. And because we believe in this so wholeheartedly, we are giving anyone who joins a full free month of everything that we offer with the personal guidance of a coach to make sure you are supported, you are accountable, and you are being guided through. And after those 30 days, You can decide which level works for you. If you want to stay in the free level, that is perfect. We want to see what you use. And between now and the end of the year, if you do decide that one of the paid tiers is what's best for you, we are offering $100 off to anyone who joins before 2026. So if you are ready to accept the challenge, truly enact the change that you've always craved in your life, now is the time, and we have created the zone, the arena for you. It's time to come home to yourself, and that is what the Challenger Circle stands for. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Challenges of Change. If you're ready to stop stressing and reclaim your sense of worth, be sure to visit my website at www.changebychallenge.com. There, you'll find loads of resources, blog posts, and information on how to work with me, Laura, as your personal mindset coach. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Don't let burnout or any other obstacle hold you back from living your best life. Take the first steps towards positive transformation today. Thank you again for listening. Stay confident, stay inspired, and embrace the challenges of change. Until next time.